of whoever's top.
I would have gone like one below Tasha's.
You basically did.
Oh wait, what Tasha go?
I said 3 goals.
And you went like 15 points.
Okay. I'm good here.
Welcome to Secure the Bag. My name is Jackson. I'm joined by Tasha and Jayden, and today we'll be talking about the awards in the lead up to the AFL Grand Final. Tasha, why don't you kick us away, as you were the one who were sticking by Ollie Wines through this whole time. Tasha, do you feel happy for him with his winning the Brownlow?
I do. I predicted it like most people did. It looked like the Bont could catch up, but it was a good polling. He's matched, I think, the most votes equaled with Dusty's 2017 season. Mm-hmm. So it's debated whether he was as good as Dusty's 2017 season or not. But yeah, it was pretty good win.
And Jayden, you'll be feeling very sad right now. Why don't you explain that?
Personally, I wanted the Bont to win. I'm just a fan of the Bont. I reckon he's a superstar. He should be winning it. He had a great season, you know. Plus, Port Adelaide, like, we're not even in the finals, but I feel like that matters when you're doing the Brownlow. But still, like, I wanted the Bont to win. I had some money in the Bont.
How much did you have on the Bont?
Like $10.
Lost it. Waste of money. That's a bar me. That's a bar me.
I thought the Bont was a safe bet. Like, safe bet, easy money.
Yep. But it surprises me, though, because what you could have said is that, I mean, the logic is that, so Tasha's explained to me that the logic here is that you can split the votes by having multiple players from the same team up and around that bracket. And you would have thought that Ollie Wines would have gotten less votes because another Port player was sort of up there. Travis Boak got about 25 votes. You'd think that would have sort of dragged him back and let Bont, who is the only Bulldogs player that I'm aware of sort of in that top bracket, to sort of get over the line. But that didn't happen. So do we just think Ollie Wines was that good that he was able to get ahead, even with another player stealing votes from him?
Yeah, I reckon, like, he definitely had a great season. He definitely deserved the Brownlow, honestly. Like, it was a great season. And, like, the players still votes and stuff, and it happens. But when you have also players that complement each other, sometimes it can benefit and you end up both getting more votes. So it kind of like depends on the situation. Something like Melbourne, I see those players, like, there's just so many of them in the midfield. I reckon they take a lot of the votes from each other. Like, it's hard for Oliver to win a Brownlow when maybe another team has got a bit more of a chance. But
yeah, like Petrarca and Clayton Oliver were like pretty even on the Brownlow count. If one of them had slightly less, like, and then Clayton Oliver would have won. Yeah. And
then even Viney and Gawn were getting votes here and there as well.
Yeah.
Other players, so it was tough.
But also the Bulldogs did like not poll very much in the last 4 games where they kind of dropped out and lost. So like if they won one of those games, I reckon Bont would have taken the Brownlow.
Yeah. Okay. I can see that. But if it's a question, because there's a couple of teams here. So as said, Melbourne was split between Oliver and Petrarca. And I definitely think like Clayton Oliver was incredible. I really think he probably should have been closer to Wines, but at the end of the day, I mean, I guess that hasn't worked out for him. I probably would have wanted Bont to win it personally. But yeah, I think you're right. Those sort of losing those last 4 games, what a shame, you know. But otherwise, I mean, it can't be. I think it's fair to say we can't take away from Wines because of how great he's been. So he's been beating his career averages the whole time, and he's had an incredible season even by his standards. So 32 disposals, 15 kicks, 17 handballs, and 4.2 tackles a game. I mean, they're pretty good stats for a player of his quality, and I think that alone puts him over the top of even say like Bont, who, for me, if it included finals, Bont would have won it for me. Bont would have deserved it if they include finals. Like Jayden was saying, I can absolutely agree with that. But is there anyone else here was there anyone else in the results that you guys found to be surprising to get as many votes as they did? Who sort of shocked you out of these top contenders?
Sammy Walsh shocked everyone, I think, getting that. It's like, I'm pretty surprised. I was hoping he'd come from behind and take it.
Take it. It would be pretty good.
Would have been cool. Or Jack Steele. also polled pretty highly.
I was surprised that Mills from Sydney, like I'm paying attention to some of the Sydney players, that Mills and Dawson polled both higher than Parker.
Yeah.
So, new young blood doing well. So I'm happy about that.
Okay. No, absolutely. Otherwise, I can see, otherwise this played out as probably predicted. I mean, Tasha mentioned that a lot of people were behind Ollie Wines to win this. But I guess, Tasha, you wouldn't even refer to him as the star of the show. The star of the show for you would have been the presenter, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah, obviously. Nat Fife looked great. Terrible haircut, still looked great.
If you had to grade his presentation of the Brownlow out of 10, what would it be?
10 out of 10. Easy.
Oh, that's a bias. We don't share this, Jayden. I guess we just don't share this opinion. So this is fun.
I'll stay quiet right now. It's fine.
Yeah, no family dispute here over Natfi. Okay, we can leave that be. But otherwise, I think that played out just about as we'd expect. Although I feel there was much more controversy over the result in, for example, the mark of the year, which actually saw two Richmond players fight over the mark and cause a bit of unhappiness from the loser. So having seen the nominees before the result came out, I always thought Bolton was the person who should have won it because I thought his elevation in jumping for the mark was incredible. It's not like listening to the commentators describing it. It's almost like it came out of nowhere, that sort of elevation and height to the jump. Like he rose easily waist above any other player in that sort of scrap. But I'm apparently not agreed with. Like people don't agree with me, Tasha?
Yeah, I actually think Jack Rewald should have taken it. His mark had a lot more courage to me. He came running into a full pack of people, kept his eye on the ball, looked spectacular. Yeah.
I'm with you, Jackson. I reckon Rewald's mark was for sure like more courageous and it was like definitely harder. But Bolton's mark, it was just so pretty. Like it would just look so nice. You know what I mean? It was like
has Jeremy Howe vibes.
Exactly. You know, just picture perfect. So I don't blame him for picking the mark of the year.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I can see where Tasha's coming from because both of the other two nominees, so I think it was O'Brien and it was Rewalt, both were probably under more pressure for the mark than Bolton was. So Bolton sort of came into the scrap. So there was another Richmond player sort of being marked by two other players and Bolton sort of jumped into the mess and above the rest and sort of grabbed the mark from there, which is impressive in its own right. But the other two, it's almost like they really had to scrap for it. And it was definitely much like Tasha, courage might be the right word to use there because you're going right into the middle of it, where I don't think Bolton had to worry about that as much. Would I be right in that sense? Would that be how you describe why Rewalt should have won it, Tasha?
Yeah. It was for me. It's pretty much all about the courage, like to run into a full pack of people like that and not really worry about getting injured or getting knocked out. Like it's pretty cool. Yeah, I rate it pretty high.
Yeah, but I'll put this to Jayden because he shares my opinion on this, so I can tell he's a reasonable man. Out of the other two marks, and I had a struggle with this because I thought both O'Brien's and Rewalt's were very similar in that sense. If you had to say which one of them comes out as second to Bolton, which would it be for you?
I mean, I see Rewalt's as like it's almost like a different kind of mark. You know what I mean? So I put it as second. And I love it too. I love it. I think his mark was so courageous and it's great. And I saw it live and I was like that was a mark. I was a mark, you know what I mean? It's just like you just can't put that on a poster. That's all. You could just put Bolton's mark on a poster.
Yeah, exactly. Bolton's fits on a poster really well, but yeah, that was scrappy. That was scrappy. I get that. I get the good way to say that. I get that. But if I had to say, although Rewalt is not happy with second place, he does not find second place acceptable. He was very unhappy, actually, apparently, about losing out to Bolton. What do we make of that?
I think it's just banter.
I think he's still unhappy, man. It all seems
yeah.
That's a situation of good banter, but seriously, guys, I'm very disappointed in everyone. He had I think he made a social media post tagging someone else who missed out on the award unjustly, apparently, and sort of like there was some
Jeremy Howe?
I think it was, yeah, might have been.
It's probably not as hard done by getting beat by Joey Danaher, but
I think you might be a bit of banter there.
Yeah, a bit of banter.
Oh yeah. But no, otherwise I think it's sad for O'Brien because it was such a good mark by him, but I feel like because of that Richmond controversy, people just won't talk about him sort of being up there and his performance because of obviously that controversy is a good headline if you're writing a news article about the award. So
for sure.
It's a shame. But less controversy, for me, while less controversy amongst the players for this award, this one, the goal of the year, was actually way harder for me to pick between. Like,
really?
I remember, way harder. For me, I couldn't pick between Bolton and Sarong.
Easily Sarong.
Nah.
Yeah, except I think Sarong's might have been out of bounds, low-key. I rewatched it, and I think it might have been out of bounds.
We'll just let it slide. That's fine. We'll let it slide.
But it's fine.
Songs with the context of the game as well.
I know,
Derby on the game on the line, and he just stands up and just slots it. Like,
it's huge. Huge moment. Yeah.
He's down and he's back up. It was the commentary in that one.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
What was it? It was like so wrong, but so right.
Yeah, exactly. So it's all right. You could ask me out, but I wouldn't have an answer.
That's not on. You don't get to say things like that. No, thank you. No, thank you. So, but even that, so like I will not doubt. Like I saw that nomination. I thought that is an incredible goal. There's no doubt about it. The way he's been tripped over, he's gotten up, he's had to kick it, and he's still under immense pressure. So I think one of the West Coast Eagles player is actually like reaching for him as he kicks. He doesn't get the kickoff right because he's under so much pressure. He sort of kicks it a bit short. I don't know if that's like not short, but like low. I don't think that's deliberate pressure.
For me, Sarong was under more pressure, but I was more impressed by the angle of the Bont's goal. I feel like I'm right to say that because like it's from such a very tight angle. He's under immense pressure as well. I think there's two other players that are on him when he takes the shot. But the kick. But I thought it was just as impressive. Am I right to think that? I thought they were both just as impressive as each other. Like, what sets them apart for you guys?
I think technically they were, but I feel like you got to take the context of the game into the goal of the year.
You got to take it into consideration, I think. Like, just because it was the Western Derby, it was just because it is you have to take context into it. You can't forget about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It resonates to you a bit more.
No.
Passport.
And I mean, I feel like that's rough on the Bont, but that's just me. I do think both of them were incredible, but I think that I'm not going to like be upset that Sarong didn't get it. Like, I'm not going to go, that's cheating, that's like unfair. But Jayden, would you have given it to Sarong if you had that option?
Yeah, I would give it to him.
Yeah, and Tasha has made her thoughts on the matter quite clear.
Yeah.
But
when I said nominations, I said Sarong would win.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is another sad one where someone's getting relegated because I think the third one was a really good goal as well. I think it was Melbourne's. I can't remember. Pickett. Who kicked that?
Pickett was my second favorite. I rated his over the Bots just because it's so. I lost him.
Yeah,
it was juicy. It was so juicy. Yeah.
No. What he did. I didn't see him.
The angle, it's just straight on, but the actual pressure he's under and he's got to maneuver around, get some space to actually get the kickoff. Yeah, that was skillful. Yeah, it was.
Pickett was my number 2.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I mean, I don't remember the context of that match though. Geez, that's probably why he didn't win it.
Happens.
But no, I did think that was very impressive. But for me, more impressed by the angle more than anything, because the actual technical difficulty of the shot is way more difficult. So I just thought that probably earned it to Sarong. But all right, fair enough. And those are, well, I think we've all agreed on most of the winners of these, and I doubt it's going to be any different with the Coleman, as won by McKay with 58 goals. Does this, if you had a look back on this at the start of the season, would this result have surprised?
Yeah, I probably would have said maybe Tomahawk win the Coleman.
I think it's always a bit hard to pick the Coleman.
It's hard. It's hard to pick. I don't think I've ever.
But he had great form the whole season. He had a great, and he was like the focal point of that forward line. And so we had when the ball got down there a lot, and they held him up and about a bit this season at times. Sorry, so it was. I reckon it was well deserved.
It's a low total number of goals though for a season.
True, that's 58.
Yeah.
Well, what if you had to put an average? What is the average winner of the Coleman got in terms of goals? What would a number of goals? How many goals would he have to get for you to go? Oh, that's typical. That's standard for a Coleman winner.
Like it's going down each year, to be honest. But you would at least expect 60 plus. You would want Coleman 60 plus. Okay, good. That's a good season. A 60 plus season.
No, fair enough. And the competitors for this one being Hawkins and Raywalt at 54 goals and 51. These players also don't surprise, but with their names being up there.
I think you cut out again. I was sort of that thought.
I was just thinking that, we're saying that Raywalt and Hawkins got third and second respectively. They don't surprise being up there either?
No, not at all. Raywalt's a Coleman, maybe two, and Tomahawk is like...
Raywalt surprised me. I thought he was a bit old. I thought Lynch
really?
I thought Lynch being in the forward line would take more shots away from him.
Yeah, no, I'm always pretty confident that Jack will be up there. Yeah.
Well, true. And Richmond now have the greatest of seasons as well. So coming in third was pretty impressive.
No, fair enough. Okay, all right. I mean, that's otherwise there's little to say. It was just a well-earned result over the course of the whole season, consistent form, finished at the end of the day. Fair enough to Harry. But I mean, over all these awards we've discussed, we've seen some respect for the forwards with the Coleman Award, and we've seen some respect for good midfielders like Clayton Oliver and Ollie Wines. But there's some players that are missing. There's some positions that are not getting respect amongst these awards that we're talking about. Tasha, you have a lot to say about this topic. Why don't you start us off with why defenders aren't getting the respect they deserve in the Brownlow?
Well, the Brownlow is supposed to be your best medal. But it is very skewed towards midfielders, the voting. I think the last 30 Brownlow medalists have all been midfielders. A theory is that because it's voted by the umpires, the midfielders are the ones that they kind of are around the umpires the most, especially in the centre. They also obviously rack up the most disposals and stats that you can see on paper. But I don't know, some games I think they just award too many to votes to the midfielders and not enough to key forwards or defenders. There were this is more of a me bias thing, but there are some games where I think Papley should have had 2 or 3 votes. I think one against Essendon or his 4 goals against the Giants, where they came in really crucial moments and he really helped to win, but he didn't get any votes in that. Went to midfielders instead, who had less of an impact on the game, personally, what I think.
Okay, all right, fair enough. And I mean, you've mentioned that since, the last 30 or so Brownlows have all been won by midfielders, but that was not always the case. So between 1975 and 92, only 8 Brownlows were won by grand level midfielders. So you actually had an era where there was more competition for the Brownlow with forwards and defenders. Like, obviously, something had to have changed for that to happen, for that to have gone wrong. But I think you brought up the valid theories. I think that the voters really value the disposal and possession statistics that everyone throws around, because I feel like those are seen as the most important now.
I mean, for me, I think the game has got a lot faster in the past 30 years. And because it's got a lot faster, like these midfielders having a larger presence in the game, you know, like it's not a slow kick, and then your big forward takes a mark. And like that's the most impact that a person can have on the game. But now these midfield, like the ball is, what's so important is like the midfield, what's like the heavily contested ball and the setting clearances are like one of the most impactful parts of the game. And if you can get the most clearances, you are going to impact the game. Like territory can almost be sometimes more like as important as getting the goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know. I agree with Tash. Like defenders can like get maybe hard done by, midfielders hard and forwards hard done by. But like it's a team sport. You don't need to have, I think, too many accolades for individual players at every position or whatever. You can just have one for the best. And often enough, the best player is your midfielder. And that's just because he can get to the whole ground. He can cover everywhere. You want to know every contest. And that's why he's a midfielder. I'm not trying to not rate some of these defenders and stuff. Yeah. But and they come in clutch. Sometimes they just don't have the impact on every single game throughout the season that a midfielder will have. They sometimes only have the impact when they have that huge key forward on them. In other games with lesser forward on them, they don't have the impact and they don't hold votes. That's what I think.
They've got the All-Australian anyway. They can be an All-Australian defender.
They have the All-Australian to look forward to. That's right. That's
okay.
But I rate the Defenders Award as well.
Dude.
I rate the idea of having one.
I feel there's a lot of personal biases here. Let me just clarify, Jay. Did you play as midfielder? Did you play as midfielder? Okay, yeah. So I'm dealing with the midfielder who thinks midfielders want to win the awards and a defender who's upset defenders don't win the awards. I can read that.
I feel like they can have one. Like
they can have one.
Yeah.
What do you vote on? That's what I'm thinking.
I don't know. That's what we were trying to work out before this.
Like Coleman is this goal every goal, right? Like,
yeah, but then the Brownlow was pretty subjective.
Yeah, it's the best player.
It's
the best player.
But I'd argue that it's not the best player. It's just there's certain stats that are valued more than others, thus the defenders don't get the recognition they deserve. I mean, as you were saying, like it would be cool if you just had one award for the best player. That might be the way to go. But they've already got the Coleman that just goes to forwards, basically. At that point, do you just say they should give one to defenders as well, so you get that recognition for the position?
But yeah, Jayden said this before, like the Coleman, whoever kicks the most goals isn't necessarily like the best forward.
Yeah, like, I wouldn't say Harry's the best forward. But
yeah.
Definitely good forward. I wouldn't say he's the best.
No, it's Charlie Cameron. We all know it is. we all know it is.
Cheeky man.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can agree with. I mean, but that doesn't. You don't think that invalidates the winner of the Coleman? You don't. You know, at the end of the day, that's the way we measure it. So if they get the most goals, they should win that and get that respect.
Yeah, sure.
But by the same logic, should defenders get that respect? I mean, it could say that defenders don't get the spotlight, and as a result, less promising talent wants to move into that position. So you get less talented defenders in the AFL. I mean, could that be a reasonable argument?
I mean, that's true.
I think they focus on individual awards that much, though. Players, like mostly a team effort. Plus what everyone really wants is a grand final, not really.
That's true. But if you can, but if you're in a team that doesn't get to if you're in a team that's not getting to the finals, you can still win these individual awards, even if the team can't carry you to finals. So I feel it would come into play a little bit, but maybe not the prime concern. I can get that. Yeah. Otherwise, trying to think what else you could say. I mean, the thing is, it's like, Tasha, you've got the strongest views on this. Why don't you explain to us how this award could work? What would you rate defenders by if you had to give them an award? What would the measurement be?
Yes, that's what I was trying to figure out before, because obviously there's not really like a stat that can help. I think it would have to be similar to the Brownlow, a more subjective thing. I don't know who would vote on that, whether it's the umpires or coach. They already have coaches awards for Player of the Year and stuff, but yeah.
Okay.
I honestly just don't think it's a big deal. I'm like, you can't have like an individual award for your defenders and then one for your midfielders and then one for your forwards, all voted on by umpires at the end of every game, and then the Brownlow as well. Like, it all just seems like getting the ball rolling a bit too much. Like,
surely what you do is you create a panel of former defenders, like retired defenders, and get them to vote. Because
that was my original plan, was to get Jayden's favourite player, Mr. Teddy Richards, just award a medal. No Teddy award.
I get behind that one.
Yeah.
For sure.
I trust him.
Suddenly you're on board, Jayden. Suddenly it's yeah.
Anything to do with Teddy.
Fair enough. But we don't have a name for this award, Tasha. No, something this prestigious needs a name.
Jayden, you got one?
I don't know. You can leave it in the comments below. I was told that Golden Fist is not a good name. So.
No, don't leave that in the comments. Don't let them outsource their work. They had the time to do this, and they're trying to pawn it off on the viewers. That's unacceptable behaviour.
That's me.
I mean, yeah, it all comes down to what statistic you identify. I mean, you could go, tackling, but no, you could say that the tackles are really racked up in the midfield again. So that doesn't work. It's really hard to figure out what you could actually point to that would identify defenders, and that might be the tough part for them. But otherwise, I mean, I can agree with Jayden. You know, we've already talked about 4 awards, so clearly we want to stop creating any more awards. Although we do have one more after the grand final to talk about, don't we?
The Norm Smith.
The Norm Smith, which I mean, personally, I just think that you should have awards that take into account both the season and the finals, so Bont could win them, but that's no bias or anything. That's just how I think it should be done. I mean, I talked to Tasha about this, why you exclude finals results from the season, and I think it was said to me that there'd be a lot of teams that would suffer as a result of that, a lot of individual talents, because their team couldn't get them to the finals. I mean, Jayden, do you think that this is the right way to do it, to have finals discounted from these awards?
I think so, yes. I think it's in most sports as well, it's the way it's done. You have your regular season award or your home and away season, and then you have your finals period as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think normally your finals is your finals, your Norm Smith, your finals MVP, and then you the winner. And that's about it. And I think you can't, it's too unfair in the teams that don't make the finals to just be out of the running.
And sometimes the best players are on teams that don't make finals. So
yeah, exactly.
Really? Who?
This one?
Hey, Tasha, we're only talking about the best players. So who else?
This Brownlow medalists off the top of my head. What years they were in finals or not, except for Nat Fives.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. Okay, all right. No, I get. Okay, I see. I'm in the minority here. Nobody else believes me on this, so I'll bow to the judgment of the majority and say that that's all right. That's fair enough. Although you could say there's been some pretty good goals and marks in the finals that would probably compete potentially with Sarong or Bont, but they just won't get the recognition.
There will be some good ones actually. I wouldn't mind a little compilation or something.
Yeah, I guarantee. Yeah, someone will make that video.
There were some in the home and away season that I think were better than the 3 that made it. So.
Well, I'll tell you what, Tasha, which ones should have been in those nominees? Mark
not
or Goff?
To be biased, but Isaac Heaney had a couple this year that definitely should have been in the top 3.
You know, I've already pointed out enough about personal biases dealing with the midfielder and the defender. I can't deal with the Swans bias on top of that. It's too much. It's too much for me to deal with.
You can't deny his marks are very photogenic.
My God, she's out of control.
He did
But-
win it like 2 years ago, Tosh. What was it?
Yeah, he won like 2 years ago or last year, maybe. Yeah.
So he's always a chance, I reckon.
Yeah.
Oh, fair enough. I mean, but I'd say that I have heard that this has been a year of excellent marks and goals. So, marks and goals that would have been included in the past few years wouldn't have made it into this top three. Just because of how good. I mean, all 3 goals were incredible by any standard, and the marks especially were insane. I think that Bolton one probably would beat marks of the last few years just by how incredible that leap was. But we're actually unfortunately running out of time here. Tasha's had her chance to defend defenders world over and give them the respect they deserve. And Jayden's had his chance to argue for the continued monopoly midfielders hold on awards. Definitely no personal bias on that one. But guys, before we end up, we've got the grand final coming up. We're going to meet again to have that chat after that game and close up the season with some analysis of the final game. And hopefully Bulldogs pull through and do a good thing for us. But we'll talk about that when it happens. Any new thoughts on the grand final as we get closer and closer, Tasha?
No, other than Melbourne are going to win. They better win.
By how many? By how many goals?
Ooh, I'm going to say 4 goals. 3 goals. 3 goals.
3 goals, okay. Jayden?
Yeah.
Any new thoughts on the grand final as we get closer?
I think it'll be really interesting. I'm really looking forward to it. I think the centre matchup is going to be like 8 All-Australians potentially. And so I think that'll be amazing to watch and just to see who can come out best. They'll both play their centres a bit different as well. Like so Melbourne like to push up the ground a lot, and then the Dogs kind of like they are dogs. They run in a pack and they stay together the whole way.
Yeah.
And Melbourne's kind of sprint, and you see Oliver at contest when Petrarca's kicking it to the contest. Oliver's already there, kind of vibes.
I want to see how
they.
they handle Max Gorn.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm really keen to see how Gorn plays because he should be dominating the ruck for the whole game.
The Bulldogs aren't Geelong, though. The Bulldogs aren't Geelong, though. They know how to chase after a ball and actually, hold it.
That is true.
We figured out Geelong hasn't figured out how to hold a football. But okay. And Jayden, for the purpose of a little friendly competition, I'm guessing you think Melbourne are going to win this one, if you had to put anything behind it?
I reckon Melbourne will take it home, yeah.
Yeah. And by how many goals?
I reckon it'll be close. I reckon maybe 2 or 3.
2?
I'm not going to run away with it.
Would you say with it?
Or the over-under, I'd go under 15.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, let it be noted then at the start of our next video, whoever's less close to the result is going to have to do a forfeit of some kind. We'll see as we go.
Okay.
But
that wasn't in the rules.
That's new.
I didn't want to affect your judgment. All right. I just need you to give your honest opinions and then realise punishment will follow afterwards.
I would have gone like 1 below Tasha's.
You basically
You
did.
Oh wait, what Tasha go?
I said
Tasha-
3 goals.
And you went like 15 points.
Okay. I'm good here.
You're fine. All right.
You got to help for a Melbourne blowout.
Yeah, that's all you're hoping for. All right. Well, thank you for joining us, guys. We've had fun. I've been Jackson. We've had Tasha and Jayden once again, and we'll see you guys after the grand final. Hope it's a good game. All right. See ya.